Now, Houthi rebels have vowed revenge after UK and US airstrikes on the group's military facilities in Yemen. And the report that this afternoon a missile was fired at a commercial vessel approximately 90 nautical miles southeast of the Yemeni port of Aden. Hundreds of thousands of people took to the streets of the Yemeni capital Sana'a after the rebels confirmed 5 Houthi members were killed and 6 were injured in last night's attacks. Let's cross now to GB News' Home and Security Editor, Mark White. Mark, what can you tell us about dramatic developments in the last couple of hours?
Well, clearly worrying developments. The Houthi rebels, after these strikes by the US and the UK last night, vowed revenge and retaliation. This may be what is playing out in the Gulf of Aden this afternoon. Reports coming through now from multiple sources that a tanker which was in the Gulf of Aden, 90 nautical miles southeast of the port of Aden in Yemen, was at the centre of an incident that appears to have involved a missile aimed towards that vessel that splashed down in the sea about 400 to 500 metres from the vessel, so very close indeed. Now, reports from the master of that tanker suggest that 3 smaller craft were actually following this tanker for a while. We understand now that the tanker is heading to its next port of destination as an investigation continues into the incident itself. But if this is a retaliation from the Houthi rebels, clearly it's a concern, because the hope was from the British and US governments that this action last night that targeted some 60 different targets in 16 locations involving 100 precision-guided bombs and other munitions would have been enough to give the Houthi rebels a bloody nose, make them think twice. But those, I think, that know and observe the way that this rebel organisation operates probably thought that was unlikely, and that may be what is playing out now. One incident so far, of course, and nothing in comparison to that incident, Martin, that happened on Tuesday evening with 21 separate attack drones and missiles that were launched towards shipping in the Red Sea, as well as, of course, US and UK warships that were in that area.
But, Mark, this will have implications for Britain and our economy because, of course, 25% of the world's oil passes through the Straits of Hormuz there. And commercial shipping companies will be getting very spooked by this. They might not be able to get insured, and that can only mean soaring fuel prices for Brits. And that means inflation could start to soar.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. I mean, the UK, being an island nation, 95% of the imports and exports to the UK come by sea. So we are very heavily reliant on maritime trade. Anything that affects these choke points, such as you mentioned there, the Straits of Hormuz into the Persian Gulf, of course the Red Sea and other choke points, if they are affected by security incidents, then what you get is a response from the maritime traffic, the commercial operators like Maersk, for instance, that giant maritime shipping company that has decided that for the time being at least, it is rerouting around Africa. Now that adds an extra 10 days to the journey from Asia to the UK. And the net consequence of that is that the prices in the supermarkets, in the filling stations, they all potentially rise. And, of course, those insurance costs as well for the commercial traffic that is on the sea rockets as well. And that all ultimately gets passed on to the consumer in the UK and other Western countries.
OK, thank you, Mark White, for that update.